Welcome to the In Shape Fitness Show. I'm Coach Kim, and today's podcast is called The Reality of Your Long-Term Health. I'm going to talk a little bit about something I hardly ever talk about, which is food. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about classifying your workouts so that you can get the most out of the time that you spend on moving around, so that you don't fall into some of the pitfalls that a lot of people do. The stats are terrible in the United States. The stats are really just striking in that we spend hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars on health, on the reaction of poor health habits, the lifestyle conditions that have only come about in the last couple of generations, that have been developing for the last couple of generations. Issues like, there's obesity specifically as and overweight issues, metabolic issues that specifically are about not exercising and about eating poor foods, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But I mean things that relate to diabetes, heart disease, cardiovascular and respiratory issues, the amount of money that we spend on those medical conditions relative to the amount of money that we spend on exercise and exercise clothes and exercise memberships and exercise shoes. And then, of course, there's the equipment issue, which I write about a little bit in my book towards the end, the book called Darwin on the Treadmill, which is getting published towards the end of this year, where we really do have to kind of face the fact here that we are spending money uselessly, literally accumulating all this stuff in our lives that virtually goes unused. Things like bands and weights and balls and various other sort of accoutrements of exercise that mostly don't get used, and if they do get used, they don't get used enough to make a difference when your body actually comes equipped with everything that you need. So as I said before, I'm going to break a little bit today with some of the commitments that I make to not really talk very much about food, because I'm an exercise specialist. I'm not a food specialist, but it is striking to me how wrapped up in the food, the exercise sort of the fitness food, if you will, and health food, and how deceptive some of it is in terms of what your body really needs. So here's what your body really needs. Obviously, your body needs calories in order to energize yourself and get moving through the day, in order to make your muscles move, in order to make your brain function, in order to provide the energy source for all of your vital organs to do the work that they need to do. There's no doubt about it. You absolutely positively have to eat. You absolutely positively have to drink. However, the huge big companies that make a lot of the really popular brands related to health and exercise related foods, things, I'm not going to name any brands, I'm not going there today, but you know what I'm talking about. All the sort of technology that is wrapped up in the best way to hydrate yourself, the best way to to sort of ingest a number of, a bunch of calories related to protein, related to different sources and nutrients that you do need, but that you don't necessarily need in such quantities because the packaging is so misleading. And so when you are thinking about your long-term health, the idea that as you get older, you continue to thrive physically. There is no reason why, as you get older, you have to lose your ability to do the things that you want to do. The ability to run around with your family members, to have fun with your friends physically, to dance, to run, to hike, to sightsee, and be on your feet all day. There is no human reason why your body can't continue to function well into your old age. And so the notion that the food that you take in and that the sort of regimen that you follow is sort of conditioned in a certain way as a consumer to kind of think about what choices that you're making when you go to the store and you shop for your sustenance is really what I wanted to start off with today. So bottom line with food, when you take food into your body, it should be small amounts, number one. Number two, it should always have, the food that you eat should have no adverse effects on the operations of your body. And what I mean by that is that when you take in a bunch of, let's just say, like dry, sort of sodium laden, like food tech type of stuff, that often leads to dehydration. When you can ingest foods, when you eat balanced meals, you take in foodstuffs, actual items that come out of the ground, food that is grown, that has water in it and helps maintain hydration in your body as opposed to working against it. And so keep it simple. You don't need fancy stuff. It doesn't need to cost a ton of money. You can make a lot of it in your own home. And sure, people don't have a ton of time to, sort of research and study and whip up a lot of the food sources that they have, not like our parents probably did back in generations ago. However, it is possible for you to get what you need without having to resort to some of the fancy big brands that are unquestionably making a ton of money off of your ignorance, off of your busyness, and off of your, just sort of general sense that to be the fittest requires you to buy the most. That is a huge problem in the American society that we have right now. And it's not happening in other countries, by the way. It is really a United States problem. And so on to the next sort of part, and the most important thing, the thing that I'm a true expert in is classifying your workouts. And so one of the things that I like to do is I offer my clients that I work with in person 3 different kinds of workouts. Now, if you talk to someone that's a specialist in running, and I'm actually a distance running coach, and so I have lots and lots of conversations with runners about the different kinds of runs. But I mean, generally speaking, the different kinds. If you're not a runner, or you're not a cyclist, you're not a swimmer, you're not involved in a sport specifically, so you just want to get by and stay healthy. There are 3 kinds of workouts that you absolutely need to include in your regimen to understand, at least, or strive to include in your regimen. One of them is something called a functional 5. And I call this the Hail Mary of fitness because it is absolutely the case that you should not go a 24-hour period without at least conducting a functional 5 regimen, which is totally equipment free. It can be any 5 exercises that you do well, exercises that you understand. And these are things like squats, they're things like push-ups, they are things like lunges, they are things like plank, hip bridges. On the side of the body, they could be things like clamshells. But pick 5 things, write them down, make yourself do them every single day. I learned or adopted this regimen. If you've been listening to my podcasts over the years, you know that one of the mainstays of my own personal life is my version of the 5 Tibetan rites. I actually have sort of adopted the actual 5 Tibetan rites and ended up doing, or every day, basically end up doing 7 or 8 different exercises instead of 5. But the 5 Tibetan rites are 5 exercises that people in, there's a controversy over whether or not anyone actually does them these five exercises in Tibet. The spiritual monks of Tibet, they're thousands of years old. A couple of books have been written about them, and they're five exercises that are said to energize the body from like an Eastern medicine perspective. I won't get into the details of that, but you can look it up on our website. Lots of things about it, or just Google them and take a look at them. But five exercises that you do. It's a regimen that takes about 5 minutes. That's it. So 60 seconds of each of the five exercises. They can be jumping jacks. As I said before, they can be squats. They can be push-ups. They can be hip bridges. They can be planks. They can be downward dog, upward dog, sort of something I call dynamic dog. Any five exercises for about 5 minutes. And that is something that you should do every day. So every single day, even on the days when you do the heftier at the other end of the spectrum, what we call anchor workouts. So I told you that there are three categories of workouts, of routines, the functional five being one of them at the daily end of the spectrum. The anchor workouts are the workouts that you do at least twice a week, on average, hopefully 3 times a week, but at least twice a week. The anchor workouts are something that are going to be a little longer, quite a bit longer actually, somewhere closer to 45 to 60 minutes in length. Even if you only did one of these per week, you're better off than of course doing none. But these are workouts that are almost educational in their derivation. You could do them with a trainer. This is what I do with a lot of my clients. I am the anchor in the workout regimen for the week. And so I teach people different ways to bring exercises together in sequences, in circuits, a lot of circuit training. Again, a lot of it doesn't have to be gym-based or equipment-based. It can still be a workout routine that has absolutely no equipment in it. In this case, it could be a run or a swim or some other kind of sporting activity. In fact, that's the most, how should we say, sustainable way for you to work this in, is to develop a lifestyle that includes once or twice a week an activity that is fitness related. It can be social related so that it can be fun. But these anchor workouts, again, are exercise regimens that take a lot longer than that daily routine that we were talking about before. The last type of workout is something I call a maintenance workout. And maintenance workouts are going to be the kinds of workouts that you adopt that are dependent on, they're very personalized. For someone like myself and a lot of the people that I work with to train for a marathon or train for a half marathon, the maintenance type of routine is going to be the type of routine that you get down onto the floor with, maybe a resistance band twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, but that contain exercises that build the strength that you need to conduct the activities that you want to achieve in those anchor workouts. So they they feed into the type of regimen that might bring you satisfaction in your life, happiness, contentment in your life, because that's what the anchor is really about. And again, I don't like to talk about running all the time as the end all be all thing that everyone should do, because the truth is everyone can't do that. But there should be something in your life, some fitness, some active level of enjoyment that you have. It could be, I don't really want to say golf, because golf doesn't feel really physically kind of engaging enough. But it could be tennis. It could be boating, rowing. It could be horseback riding. It could be, actually horseback riding is a great one because it's so core focused. I just tried paddle boarding for the very first time, and I could not believe how difficult it was to just simply stand on a board on a body of water and paddle around. It is incredibly taxing on the body. So those anchor workouts are about the enjoyment that you have in your life, that you can, and it can change. It doesn't have to be the same thing every single month of your life, but throughout the year, it might be something. And the maintenance workouts feed into your ability to conduct yourself through that life that you want to live. So as I said before, with a runner, it might be getting down onto the floor with an exercise band to work the side of the body. I do a whole series with a really simple band I call the Go Band. There's information about that on our website, bodybyInShape.com. And it's just a small band, a rubber band that goes around the bottom part of the quads, just above the knee, where you do a clamshell series where you lift up, lying on your side, lift up your leg, extend your leg out to a straightened position, knee pulses and kicks and things like that build strength in the side of the glute, the gluteus medius, and the tensor fasciae latae, and then of course keeping the IT band and the lower part of the leg supple and ready for action, because when you're engaged in running, your body is moving. Yes, you are using your hip flexors, you're using your quads, you're using your hamstrings and your feet, but as you tire, the stability muscles, those ancillary muscles that reside on the side part of the body, they also are doing work. Even though you don't necessarily feel them working, they do suffer from their the atrophy that is fairly normal for our population of people that don't really move around during the day so much. Certainly don't move around in like a side to side motion at all. Not very much, but really it's absent from our lives. The notion of rotational movement and lateral movement is full on sort of obliterated from modern sedentary existence. We simply don't need to do very much of that work. So the maintenance workouts, as I said before, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, a couple times. You can combine that with one of the other sessions, something shorter, the daily exercise regimen. If you sort of sub in the maintenance a couple times a week, that's perfectly fine. But those three categories of routines might help you understand a little bit of a different dimension of your fitness life, and how the consumer-based, sort of gym membership-based idea of just swiping your card as the badge of honor that you wear by going and sort of logging that time isn't as simple as going to the gym 3 times a week or 4 times a week or whatever. There are ways to get around that, that sort of nuance, that the popular notion that you can do that, and that's the way to stay fit without having to go to the gym. So let me know if you have any questions. This is a short podcast today, but I really just wanted to give you those 3 categories so that you have something to work with as you move forward, especially when you have a busy life. You are not interested in having to deal with with a daily or even the schedule of fitting in the workouts that your doctor might say that you need to. You can get up, get it done in your home, really only needing to kind of reach to the external piece, whether it's to a trainer or to a studio or to some activity on the on the outside, or some group activity a couple times a week. That is something that you can sufficiently do a sustainable way for you to thrive and enjoy your life without those the stress of the exercise regimens that are prescribed by pretty much everybody at this point. So with that, have a great day. I will see you again soon here at InShape Fitness. Let me know if you have any questions. bodybyInShape.com is our website. Have a great day.